You've got the CEO of CNN, Jeff Zucker, on Project Veritas undercover tape. Employees, anyway, of Zucker talking about how he, every morning, has a 9 o'clock meeting where he, quote, effing tells us what to do, close quote. That he has a, quote, personal vendetta, close quote, against Trump. And that he's issuing stories to cover having to do with Trump to the exclusion of stories that we think are more important, staffers said, not knowing that they were being taped. Washington Post, in its history, has never endorsed a Republican president. The New York Times has not endorsed one since 1956. Tim Grosclose, who wrote the book Left Turn that I often refer to, says that the media were truly fair and balanced. The country's a third Republican, a third Democrat, and a third independent if the media reflected that diversity. He estimates that the average state would vote anywhere from 8 to 10 points in favor of the Republican candidate. Democrats would never win at the presidential level if the media were truly fair and balanced. We've been talking about some of the stories that were ignored or suppressed by the media, including but not limited to the allegation made by Tara Reade, the former staffer of Joe Biden, who claims that she was sexually assaulted by Biden. Turns out 35.4% of voters were unaware of the allegation, and nearly 9% said that they would have voted for Trump or a third-party candidate or not voted at all for president had they known about the allegation. That is enough, according to Newsbusters, to flip Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin to Trump. The Hunter Biden scandal, 45% of voters unaware. 9.4% say they would have switched their vote. That Kamala Harris has a more left-wing record than Bernie Sanders, the self-described Democrat socialist. 25.3% of Biden voters were unaware of this. 4.1% say they would have changed their vote again, enough possibly to flip Arizona, Georgia, Nevada, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin to Trump, according to Newsbusters. The good news on the pre-election jobs report. 39.4% were unaware. 5.4% say they would have switched their vote again, potentially swinging Arizona, Georgia, Nevada, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin to Trump. The huge jump in economic growth. 49% unaware. 5.6% say that would have changed their vote. The peace deals between Israel and Bahrain and UAE and Sudan. 43.5% unaware. 5% say they would have switched their vote had they known about it. The fact that America, for the first time, is energy independent, therefore completely eliminating our need to be in the Middle East, since a lot of this is driven by oil. 50.5% of voters unaware that America is now energy independent. 50.5% unaware. Largely because of fracking, because of Donald Trump loosening the rules and regulations for drilling. 50.5% of Americans unaware that we have achieved energy independence. 5.8% say had they known that would have switched their vote. Oh, Operation Warp Speed, the success of it? 36.1% of Biden voters unaware of the Trump administration's role in so-called Operation Warp Speed. Unaware. 5.3% say that they would have voted for somebody other than Joe Biden had they known. Now, another issue not here is that Joe Biden twice publicly accused a man who struck and killed his first wife and young daughter, the driver. Biden twice publicly accused the driver of having been drunk when the accident occurred, when in fact the investigator, now judge, says that if anything, Biden's wife was at fault. The man swerved his truck and to the point where it tipped over in order to avoid hitting her. No drugs, no alcohol involved whatsoever, says this investigator, now judge. And again, if anything, Joe Biden's wife was likely the person at fault. How many people are unaware that Joe Biden has publicly accused the man, already stricken with guilt, according to his daughter, remorseful every time of the year, around Christmas time when this accident took place, rolls around, she says he goes into a depression. The daughter contacted Biden the first time Biden made the assertion, and Biden effectively apologized and said it was a tragedy on both sides. I won't say it again. And then said it again. This time she contacted him through a lawyer. Now, do you think voters knew this? Particularly female voters living in the suburbs who don't like Donald Trump's style, who feel that Donald Trump is too abrasive, too aggressive, too assertive, has too much hard bark on him. How do you feel about Uncle Joe, comfortable as an old sweater, publicly accusing falsely the man who struck and killed his first wife and daughter of having been drunk when the accident took place? How many votes would that have changed had people known about that? So yeah, don't talk to me about what the Russians did, about what China did, about what Iran did, when every single day you got the drumbeat of how incompetent, how racist, how unprofessional, what a thief, colluding with Russia, the media did over and over and over again. Number one issue concerning Americans, the coronavirus and our reaction to it. How many people do you think are aware that as late as March 8th, this is well after Donald Trump restricted travel to China on January 30, how many Americans do you think are aware that Dr. Fauci as late as March 8 was questioning the effectiveness of masks? How many Americans are aware that in late February, Nancy Pelosi, in order to refute the allegations that Chinatown is inhospitable because she thought it was racist, is down there without a mask, without social distancing, saying, come on down. How many people do you think are aware there was a petition signed by thousands of scientists and healthcare professionals in the UK urging against lockdowns? How many Americans do you think are aware that Joe Biden for decades lied about his civil rights record? Claimed that when he was a teenager, he would go to black churches and strategize how they were going to move to desegregate restaurants and movie theaters in Wilmington, Delaware. Zero evidence he ever did any of it. Any of it. Churchgoers were asked late in the campaign, did you know anything about Joe coming in? No, we don't. He did what? No. No evidence of it whatsoever. New York Times investigated, said there was no evidence of it, and that his staffers gently reminded Joe not to repeat it, and Joe kept saying it anyway. How many people are aware of this? This thing on? We'll get this thing fixed. I'm Larry Elder. Get somebody on top of this. Is there an engineer in the house?